by that class name input text. So like that we have the different locating mechanisms there in Selenium. These locating mechanisms all are inherited from the WebDriver API by class, by that class name, by that CSS. CSS is the one type of the locating mechanism, like CSS and expert, both are different. So ID is a direct attribute value. Link text means the link which is present in the anchor tag, that is the link text. And JS is the JavaScript executor wise. So name, okay, name attribute value. Partial link text, okay, the link partial text within so anchor links. Tag name is by dot tag name. Here, so input is the tag name. Input is the tag name, and expert, say just one notation of the expert. Okay, these all are the Selenium locating mechanisms. Okay, Protractor supports all type of locating mechanisms of the Selenium. Okay, apart that, okay, they have given some more locating mechanisms. Here, add locator, binding, exact binding, modal, button text, partial button text, repeater, exact repeater, CSS containing text options, deep CSS. They have implemented some new locating mechanisms. These are the locating mechanisms. So while writing the code, you can choose any of the locating mechanism. You can choose Angular specific or non-Angular specific. Okay, any of the attribute. Okay, so while building the locator, will follow the some priority. First ID, name, class name, CSS value, link text, like that. So at last we'll use expert. Why? Okay, so at the time of page load, all DOM elements will be loaded. All CSS values will be loaded into the DOM. In that, while building locator, it is easy to build the locator. Okay, if you build expert, okay, you need to build expert again. It is taking time. It is taking time to build that locator. So it leads to performance issue. Okay, that's why we are using CSS attribute values to build the locators. Okay, here, so if it is Angular application, we may observe some Angular related attributes values. For example, I will show one example. See, here I have the input field. Inspect this one. See here, I have the input. Input is the tag name, type equal to text, ng-model, your name, placeholder, enter a home, enter a name here, class is there. Okay, this class may be common to number of the text fields. Okay, if it is common, okay, we cannot use. Other if you use, you have to pass the index. Okay, so here, for example, I don't have the any Angular specific attributes, Angular specific locator mechanisms. Okay, I have only here I have only Selenium methods. Okay, class name, CSS ID, link text, JS name. Okay, if you have here, if you want to build a locator for the if you want to build a locator for the name text field, how to build it? We have the tag name. You can use tag name. If we have the number of the inputs, we cannot use. Okay, you have to pass the indexes. Others, we don't have the ID, we don't have name, we have the class name. The class name have contain number of the classes. So it may, if we have more than one text fields, all text field may contain same class name. Okay, here we have the ng model. Okay, if you want to build a locator, you have to choose XPath. Okay, so that leads performance issue. Instead of using XPath, okay, Angular team they have developed some locating mechanisms. Here, ng-model. Okay, this ng-model is the Angular specific attribute. Okay, you can find this type of the ng-model, ng-binding, ng-repeater, this type of the attributes in Angular applications only. If it is ng-model, okay, we have the one locating mechanism by model. See, by model of model name. Okay, here, see here, input type equal to text ng-model person.name. So if you want to same equal to the our previous code, here I have the input type text ng model. We don't have the ID, we don't have the name class, we have the class name. Okay, to build the locator, you have to choose ng model. Okay, if you find ng model, you can use by dot model of model name that pass the person dot name. While building locator, element of by dot model of person dot name. Here, input type equal to text ng model equal to person dot name. While building locators, we'll use locator mechanism by dot model. Here directly you can pass here. So whenever if you find ng model, directly you can use by dot model as like by dot ID. Okay, so rest of everything is same. Only the difference is locator mechanism by dot model. For example, here I have the one more example. So username. Here input tag is there, your ID username is there, and name is there, name attribute is there, and ng model is there. You can use any of the attribute. Okay, you can use ID, you can use name, you can use model by dot model. If you use by dot model, just pass the auth dot user dot name. Okay. So here in Protractor, they have given only for some of the attributes, but in Angular they have the number of attributes is there, but they haven't implemented locators for all. They have implemented ng-model, ng-binding, and repeater and options. These all are these four different attributes. Okay, you can build your custom locator mechanism also. Next.
Naresh, like
Yeah.
if we have same kind of locators, for example, if you select any checkbox, multiple checkboxes highlighted.
Yes.
Like in Java, we use list concept. Here, how we can find out them?
See. So initially I explained it. So driver dot find element means it returns single element. Driver dot find elements means it returns list of elements. You will use driver dot find elements of the getter of the your checkbox, right? It will return the list of elements. After that, you can iterate and you will find the respective element. In Protractor, element stands for single element. If you have the list of element dot all, okay, it returns the list of elements. The rest of everything is same.
Okay.
Your logic is same, but here finding number of elements means element dot all. Okay, we have the for iterating, we have the different concept over here. We have the four methods is there in JavaScript. Okay, we'll discuss later. Okay, for now, building locators. This is by dot binding. Okay, so for example, while building locator, here by dot model, by dot model of year one name. Okay, one more thing here, this here I'm entering some text. I entered some data in text field. Whatever data I entered, okay, the data is displaying here. This is the binding. Okay, here the data is binding from the text field value. Okay, inspect here. Okay, if we inspect here, okay, if we inspect here, we have class ng binding. Okay, this is a class. We don't have the any attribute here, but that the data is binded in Angular. Okay, if the data is binded, the data is binding in two ways. One is bind ng binding bind. In AngularJS development wise, okay, binding will be happen in two ways. One is in the form of curly braces. This is one way. Another one is ng-bind. These two are the two different ways of the binding. Okay, here so here I have the some code. Okay, input field is the input tag for text field. Here while binding the data, so whatever data I'm entering here, the data is displaying somewhere. Okay, to bind the data, so they will put ng-model attribute value in within the curly brace. Okay, if you put like this while developing development code, if they put like this, whatever data you entered here, if you enter here, here I am entering Naresh, so the data will be displayed here. So why here they are mapping, they are binding the data. Your name is the attribute value of the ng model. That attribute value is mapped here to ng-binding. Then only the data will be mapped here. So one more thing is ng-bind. Some again some ng-bind some attribute value. Okay, again they will give some code here. Within that they will print some data. If you want to capture this text, you can use, and for example text. If you want to access, if you want to get this text, you can use by dot binding of the this attribute value, by ng bind attribute value. But here if you find like this, ng binding, right? See this code here. In two ways the binding is happen. Okay, first see here, span ng bind equal to person.email. If you find ng bind, you can build a locator using by dot binding of the person.email. Okay, here we have the attribute ngfn bind. You can use directly person.email, no issues. Okay, like ngfn model kind of thing. This is easy, but here thing is you have to understand. Okay, if they mapped with the curly braces, okay, if we inspect the web page, the data here person.name is the right. This is the some ngfn model attribute value that will not be displayed on the page. For example, here hello text. Okay, here we don't have the curly braces kind of thing. Okay, we cannot find, but here you have to analyze it. Okay, okay, the text is the data which is coming from the some text field. First you have to find the is there any ngfn model attribute is there for the text field. Go to here. So here your name ng model attribute value is your name. Okay, so the data is mapped here from text field to this text area. So you can find you can pass ngfn model attribute value for by dot binding. Then the data will be captured here. Okay, if you are not understanding, okay, if the dev team is interact with you, you can connect with to the dev team and you can fetch it. Others you have to analyze it. Okay, if it is directly by dot bind ngfn bind, you can use by dot binding. You can use by dot binding. If not, okay, you have to analyze it where the data is mapping here. Now, okay, we'll write the sample program. First open application, after that enter data in text field, after that get the data, this one. I'm commenting just a minute. So it block. Your description, it block description, your test case description. After that, okay, open the browser dot get off URL. Okay, next enter name in username field. Okay, build locator. See here I have the ngfn model. If you find ngfn model, the locator mechanisms by dot model. Here attribute value is your name. Element is the protractor global function. It accepts by object. By dot. Here we have the ngfn model, right? That's why you can use by dot model of attribute value. Up to here we build locator. After that, to enter data into the application, use Selenium methods directly. Okay, send keys of the your name, any name. I'm printing some name. Okay, after that capture the data. Here whatever data you are entering here, the data is displaying here. Here we have the class ngfn binding. You can use, if you search with ngfn binding, you can find number of the locators. Okay, here ngfn model attribute values mapped here. You can use ngfn model attribute for ngfn binding. Okay, element by dot binding. by dot binding of ngFM model attribute value by that binding. Okay, up to here we build locator. After that, here our scenario is to get the data, get the text, and need to print in console. Dot get the text. So get text. We fetch the data. Okay, in protractor it's a promise, right? If you want to get exact value, okay, you have to resolve it. Dot then function. Okay, text. Here put console dot log of that's it. Here okay, element dot get text dot then function console dot log. Here we are printing like this. Execute. We got hello Naresh. Okay, but here we used ngFM model attribute value while building binding. Why? So internally while developing the code, if you see the code, so here they given the source code. So this is the source code. Input. Input type equal to text ngFM model your name. Placeholder enter your username here. This is the source code for input field. After that h1 hello while mapping while binding they have used curly braces. Within the curly braces, okay, they used ng model attribute value here. Okay, so if the data is mapped with ng model, okay, you can use ng model attribute for with by dot binding. Okay, in this way we can get the data. Okay, if you find directly ng bind, you can use directly person.email. So if you don't have anything, you have to analyze the previous ng model attribute value. Okay, then only you can find the locator. So rest of here element by dot binding of person.email by dot binding of person.email. So here by dot binding of person.name. Okay. Any questions? We'll discuss tomorrow rest of things.